Hey YouTube friends, coming at you here, making a video. Well, it's kind of interesting. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. A couple of days ago, I kind of got bored and I was sitting around here and I started watching videos on YouTube of guys basically screwing around with Walmart uh, loss prevention people, you know. And so I thought, I had to go to Walmart today. I mean, my wife is sending me there for several things. Now, I will say for the record, I have never stolen anything from any store, never shoplifted, always been honest. And if there, in fact, there was one time when I was a kid and I went to the convenience store nearby and I walked out like with a candy bar, stuck dangling from my mouth, and I didn't pay for it. But when I got down the street and realized it, man, I just ran back there, and I was like, hey, sorry, I walked out with this thing, but I didn't pay for it, And the guy that was working the register thanked me, thanks for being honest, enjoy your candy bar. But so that goes to show you, I'm not a thief or anything like that. I realize, having worked at stores with loss prevention people, work with them, and you know who they are if you work there. That theft is a big problem. There are, despite the fact that I'm an honest person, I think generally most people out there probably are honest people that work for a living and don't try to take advantage of businesses or other people. There are enough of them around to warrant at least loss prevention or a loss prevention department with personnel. That I don't have a problem with. But one thing that I do have a problem with is kind of the way I felt when I left the store, because this guy said, and I mean, I kind of agree with him, because I kind of know, looking at the loss prevention people that worked in the stores, department stores and stuff that I worked in, uh, he was pretty much right on the mark, identifying them. They're always pretty much solitary people. They like to walk around. They're all ages, and they can be women too, not just men. But most of the ones in my store or nearby Walmart are men. They can range anywhere from younger guys, to older guys, and they're always walking around. They're either not carrying anything. If they're walking by themselves, generally they're not carrying anything. They're just kind of walking around. There will be some guys that'll try to be a little more sneaky, and they'll carry a basket with one item in it. And then there'll be the guys, generally the older ones. For some reason, it's uncool for young, hip guys to push a cart, loss prevention guys to push a cart. But there's nothing in the cart, ever, never. But, the guys toting a basket will usually have at least one item in it. The younger guys, I've noticed, tend to kind of have attitudes. They kind of look like they want to eat you alive. The older guys are kind of sly looking, and sometimes it's kind of hard to tell whether what they're really loss prevention or not. But so I had some time to kill. I went in there for several things. Ended up buying, some stuff I didn't count on buying, because I saw it and I'm like, wow, hey, I probably better get this. But anyway, I had $17 worth of stuff in my hands, and I had it in my hand open. I wasn't, I was wearing a trench coat, yeah, but I was carrying it, and I was carrying it away from my body. I didn't have a cart or a bag or anything. But I mean, these guys were all over me, and the only thing I was doing was just walking in and out of different departments. And occasionally I'd see something, like I walked by the videos, and they had like $4.99 videos. I'm like, wow, I saw earlier I could rent that on Netflix for the same price. Why not just buy it? And so I grabbed it and took it off. But when I left the store, I had really a strange feeling, because, when I didn't steal anything, and I went out the door, and at that point I didn't see that there was anybody following me, but there were several people following me. And the younger guys with the attitudes, what I tend to do to them is I tend to get almost shoulder to shoulder with them, and it pisses them off. It makes them feel very uncomfortable. They're not used to that. Uh, you might be saying, well, why are you doing this? They're just doing their job. Well, yeah, but when I left the store, I really kind of felt like I had been harassed. For no more reason, we had a loss prevention guy at one of the stores I worked at, and his name was JD, and he was a former police officer. This guy was a world-class asshole, big time. And I do know this about loss prevention because, I did talk to some people, and generally, uh, they have what's called operations, or, the lingo may have changed now, but a specific operation targets a person that they already know is stealing. Uh, they've observed them, probably pocketed something, and generally, this is an employee we're talking about. We're not talking about, the lady with, the big cleavage that comes in and, tries to get away and, take off out in the car, take it to another store and try to get a refund. No, we're talking about employees here. Generally, they will observe an employee that has committed a theft, and they won't bust them at that point. Because generally, a lot of times, the item in questions are only, it's enough to fire them, but it's not really enough to get a case going against them. They want a case against them. They want to, they want to bring down the legal, you know, brick, or the legal falling safe on them, so to speak. Uh, but anyway, the thing in our store is we had targeted operations against people, myself included, who had not stolen anything, and that's just being an asshole. And really, I was raised to be courteous to people and give them the benefit of the doubt. And I know that's kind of contrary to the loss prevention credo or mission statement, because everybody can be a thief, but at the same time, it seems like more and more with technology and everything, we are kind of devolving into a surveillance state. And, these guys that work in these stores would never cut it as CIA agents, because the best spy in the world is the one that you don't know is there, the person that you would least suspect, that's actually carrying out a complete surveillance operation on you, and you're none the wiser. These guys crowd you, they act in intimidating manners towards you, and I didn't really think about it, sometimes, when I walked in the store and there was kind of a guy, maybe sometimes they even look kind of rough, uh, and they're kind of following me around or something. I say, man, this guy's, he's kind of got a problem. Well, most likely he's a loss prevention guy, and for some reason he's shadowing you or something. And after I went in there and I kind of just had the same experience as this guy in the video, I really began to feel like, do I want to shop in this store? Because when I go in there, I've got these, paid thugs all over me, for no more than, $10, $15 worth of merchandise. Uh, my whole question is, where's the line, and this may not be a very, definable line, what's the line between reasonable security to ensure the safety of your store's merchandise and harassing the people that are paying your flippin' bills? And I've had this issue for a long time. I'm almost 50 years old, and I grew up, in the 80s, in the 90s, and trust me, I'm used to being harassed by people. And if that's one thing that pisses me off more than anything, it's someone who hides behind something, whether it be a badge, a military rank, a paycheck, a title, whatever, to mistreat other people, and uses an excuse to mistreat other people. And there's nothing worse than an asshole that honestly believes they have a real solid reason for being an asshole. And that's where I find, a lot of these, especially the young guys with the buzzes that are walking around, thinking they're all tough and hot and all that stuff. Uh, and those are the guys I screw with the most. I violate their space and they do not like it. But, that'd be a tip off right there. I mean, the person that's trying to shoplift is not going to be somebody that's, they're going to want to try to keep away from these guys, because these guys can and will bust them, once they make a wrong move. I mean, I'm moving right in, I mean, I could reach out and grab a hold of their opposing ear The one that's the furthest away from me, that's how close I am. And I have no qualms about that. I mean, I spent 8 years in Asia. I fought in martial arts rings, boxing, Thai boxing. I've come up against some pretty tough guys. There's not a lot that scares me, and these guys definitely don't. But you know, yeah, I don't know. I just had to blow some steam up because after going in there and kind of playing a little cat and mouse game with these guys, which I wasn't stealing anything. I had no intention to, and I even really wasn't making it look like I was stealing anything. But yet these guys were on me like flies on horse shit. And you know, I don't want to live in a society like that. I don't think it's a good business. I don't think it's. I don't think by conducting yourself in that manner, like I said, I don't care about them watching me from some camera or something, saying, okay, hey, keep an eye on this guy, let's see if he steals some or something like that. But when you're out there and when you're invading my personal space and you're trying to intimidate me and you're making it quite obvious that your goal is to bully me in some way, shape, or form, and I think that's what it boils down to. I think really as a society we're going in the wrong way because people generally meet I'm not saying that they're turning people into shoplifters because a shoplifter is a shoplifter regardless of what motivates them. They do it, they're wrong, but you're not making the world a better place. You're not giving people the benefit of the doubt. You're not treating people like they should be treated. And, I don't want to have to go to every single store fearing that, people are encroaching upon me and watching me and viewing me as a thief. I think that we really are on the wrong track as a society.